నమస్కారం. డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం విద్యార్థులకు స్వాగతం. ఈ ప్రసారంలో
Today's session on phonetics is for the students of MA second year of the BR Ambedkar Open University. In this session, we will discuss the organs of speech mechanism and the sounds of the English language. Well, to begin with, let's have an introduction to the production of speech sounds. The production of speech sounds involves three processes: the airstream process, the phonation process, the articulatory process. The airstream process talks about the source of the air used in the production of sounds. Well, we have three different kinds of airstream processes. They are the pulmonic airstream mechanism, the glottalic airstream mechanism, and the velaric airstream mechanism. The next process that is involved in the production of speech sounds is the phonation process. The phonation process discusses the state of the glottis. The glottis is that area that is present between the vocal cords which are placed in the larynx. Once the airstream moves out of the lungs, it passes through the trachea and the glottis here in the larynx and moves into the vocal tract, which is normally referred to as the supraglottal area. Now, once this airstream moves into the supraglottal area, it is modified by the several organs of speech into different kinds of sounds. Well, in the English language, we have 44 sounds, of which 20 sounds are known as vowel sounds and the other 24 sounds are the consonant sounds. Well, the basic distinction between these two sounds is in the way the air flows out of your system from the lungs to the exterior, either the lips in the case of oral sounds or the nasal cavity in the case of nasal sounds. Well, let's look at the vowel sounds. This distinction between vowel sounds and consonant sounds is made on the basis of the way in which the air flows out of the lungs. In the case of vowel sounds, the lung air moves out freely and continuously without any obstruction at any point in the vocal tract. For example, ah, ee, ooh. The air just flows out freely and continuously, and there is no obstruction at any point in this stream of air passing out of your system. Well, in the case of consonant sounds, there is an obstruction at some point or the other in the vocal tract while you produce these sounds. The lung air is stopped and then released, or there is a kind of a friction, there is close approximation of the articulators and there is friction that is involved in the production of consonant sounds. Well, the 20 vowel sounds, let's discuss the 20 vowel sounds now. These 20 vowel sounds are once again classified into monophthongs or pure vowels and diphthongs or vowel glides. Monophthongs or pure vowels are vowel sounds that are produced where the tongue takes just one position. For example, e, a, etc. In the case of diphthongs, the tongue shifts positions. It shifts from one position to another and therefore they are known as vowel glides. For example, when you articulate the vowel sounds a, I or ua, air, there is a change in the position of the tongue from one position to another. Well, let's look now at the monophthongs or the pure vowels. They are 12 in number. Once again, these monophthongs or pure vowels are further classified into front, back and central vowels. The front vowels are those vowels that are produced with the help of the front part of the tongue. The back vowels, the back part of the tongue rises up, and the central vowels, it is the central part of the tongue that plays an important role. In the production of these vowel sounds, there are three important criteria for us to consider. The first one is the part of the tongue that we make use of, either the front, the central or the back part of the tongue. The second is the height to which the tongue is raised. Is it at an open position, a closed position, or somewhere between the two positions? And also the position of the lips, whether there is a rounding of the lips or a neutral position of the lips. Well, let's now look at the front vowels. There are 4 front vowels in the English language. The first one is E. E as in seen, been, peel, sleep, the long vowel E, which is at the close. It's known as a front close unrounded vowel. There are 3 important criteria when we discuss the vowel sounds. In the description of these vowel sounds, we need to talk about the part of the tongue that is involved in the production of these vowel sounds, the height to which the tongue is raised, and also the position of the lips. Some vowel sounds are rounded and some others are articulated without any rounding of the lips. Now, the position of these vowels can be put on a chart which is known as a vowel diagram, and this vowel diagram is a representation of that area within your oral cavity within which alone you can produce vowel sounds. For example, as you can see, the vowel sound E, which is present in the front close position, you can produce vowel sounds only within this area in your oral cavity. If you raise your tongue above this position, the sound that is produced is no longer a vowel sound. I will articulate a vowel sound for you, E. If you tend to raise the tongue higher than the E position, the resultant sound is no longer a vowel sound. As you can see, when I produce it, you will notice that there is turbulence in the air. E. If I lift my tongue higher than the position for E, there is turbulence in air and the sound that is produced is no longer a vowel sound. So we have a limited area within the oral cavity within which alone we are able to articulate vowel sounds. Let's look at the vowel chart here, which describes the front, central and the back vowels. Let's look at the front vowels first. The front vowels are 4 in number. The long vowel E as in seal, peel, which is present in the front close position. The short vowel E is also a front vowel which is present in the centralized front position, which is just above half close position. You have A as in set, met, get, bet, etc., which is articulated when the tongue raises to a position that is between half close and half open positions. The sound A as in apple, act, etc., is present in the front position just below the half close position. Now, the short sound E as in pit, fit, etc., is present as the centralized in a centralized portion, centralized front portion just above the half close position. Let's look at the back vowels now. The back vowels are 5 in number. You have OO, which is in the back close rounded vowel. You have U as in book, look, etc., which is present in the centralized back portion just above the half closed position of the tongue. The next sound is aw, the long vowel aw. It is also a rounded vowel present between the half closed and half open positions. You have the short vowel o as in cot, hot, pot, etc., which is present just above the open position in the back portion of the vowel diagram. The last back vowel is ah, which is a long vowel again, and it is present in the back open position. We are now left with three central vowels. The vowel a as in account, another, among, etc., which is present in the central region just below the half open position. The long form of the same vowel a is which is present between half closed and half open positions in the central area. The last central vowel is a, which is present just above the open position. A as in hut, cut, but, etc. Now these are the positions of the pure vowels on the vowel diagram, which help us to understand the portion of the tongue that is being made use of and the height to which the tongue is being raised in the articulation of each of these vowels. Let's look at the diphthongs now. Diphthongs, as I've already mentioned, are also known as vowel glides because the tongue glides from one position to another position. These diphthongs are further classified into closing diphthongs and centering diphthongs. Diphthongs that glide towards a closed position are known as closing diphthongs. They are 5 in number. Let's look at them now. A as in bay, gate, slate. I as in buy, shy. Oi as in boy, toy. O as in go, no, show. Ow as in now, how, etc. We have the centering diphthongs that glide towards a central position, that is, they all glide towards the vowel a. We have 3 centering diphthongs: air as in air, care, share. Ear as in clear, tear, mere, and oor as in poor, cure, sure. In the production of these vowel sounds, there is a glide that takes place from one vowel sound to another vowel sound, from the position A to E as in A, from position O to E as in oi, or from A to E as in I. Thus, the tongue glides from one position to another in the articulation of these diphthongs. Let's look at the consonant sounds now. Well, as I've already mentioned, consonant sounds are those sounds that are produced when the lung air moves out of the system, not freely and continuously, but by some kind of an obstruction at some point or the other in the vocal tract. We have 24 consonant sounds in the English language, and they have different places of articulation and also manner of articulation. Well, based on the manner of articulation, these consonant sounds are classified into plosives, affricates, fricatives, nasals, approximants. Let's look at the plosives first. We have 6 plosives in the English language: p, b, t, d, k and g. Well, these sounds are known as plosives because the lung air comes out of your system. It is stopped at one point or the other. For example, in the case of p and b, which are known as bilabial sounds, the closure takes place with both the lips coming together, holding the lung air there, and they are suddenly released. The air then explodes out of the system, and therefore these 6 sounds are known as plosives. 3-term labels give us information about the place of articulation, the manner of articulation, and the voicing that is involved. When the vocal cords vibrate, we have voiced sounds, and when the vocal cords do not vibrate, we have voiceless sounds. Well, at this point, let me mention that all vowel sounds are voiced sounds. We have voiceless sounds which are p, t, k, ch, f, th, s, sh and h. The rest of the consonant sounds are voiced sounds. Let's look at the affricates now. The affricates, we have 2 affricate sounds in the English language, ch and j. Both these affricate sounds are produced when the tongue touches both the palate, the hard palate, and the alveolar ridge, and therefore they are known as palato-alveolar affricates. While ch is a voiceless palato-alveolar affricate, j is a voiced palato-alveolar affricate. The fricative sounds are produced when the lung air moves out of your system with turbulence or audible friction when we articulate these sounds. F and v are known as labiodental sounds. Labiodental because the upper teeth touches your lower lip when you articulate these sounds. F, v. F is a voiceless labiodental fricative, while v is a voiced labiodental fricative. The next 2 sounds are th and the. Both these sounds are known as dental sounds because the tongue glides and touches the upper teeth. In the production of th, the tongue glides and touches the upper teeth. It is a voiceless sound. Therefore, th is described as a voiceless dental fricative, and the is described as a voiced dental fricative. The next 2 sounds are s and z are known as alveolar fricatives. Both these sounds are produced with the tongue touching the alveolar ridge. While s is a voiceless sound, z is a voiced sound. Sh and j are known as palato-alveolar fricatives. While sh is a voiceless fricative, j is a voiced fricative. Both these sounds are produced with the tongue touching both the alveolar ridge and the hard palate. H, which is the last fricative sound, is a glottal sound where the lung air is just released through the glottis. Nasals are 3 in number: m, n and ng. M, n and ng. M is known as a bilabial nasal since both the lips come together and are for the articulation of this sound. M. For the articulation of n, the tip of the tongue touches the alveolar ridge and therefore it is known as an alveolar nasal. In the case of ng, the back of the tongue rises up to touch the soft palate and therefore ng is known as a velar nasal. We have 2 approximants, the lateral and the non-lateral approximants, l and r. L is described as an alveolar sound, lateral sound because the tip of the tongue touches the alveolar ridge, l, and the lung air escapes through the mouth laterally. Non-lateral approximant sound is the r sound, which is also known as the frictionless continuant. In the articulation of r, there is the air moves out of the system without any friction. The last 2 sounds are known as semi-vowels. y and w. Y and w are known as semi-vowels because in the articulation of these consonant sounds, they are articulated in the way vowel sounds are articulated, but they function as consonant sounds. If you know the syllable structure, the CVC structure, these semi-vowels, which function as consonants, always take the marginal positions in a syllable, but never the nuclear position, which is normally taken up by a vowel sound. Well, as we have seen the articulation of these 44 sounds, we must make it a point to realize that the articulation of these sounds is very important for us to speak the English language the way it is spoken. Well, there is a lot of problem for Indian students in pronunciation, and one reason for this is that there is no one-to-one correspondence between sound and symbol in the English language. We have 26 letters that we represent in writing, but then there are 44 sounds. So obviously there is one letter that is representing more than one sound, and in order to get this straight, we need to do a systematic study of the phonetics of English, get our sounds right so that our speech is intelligible and impeccable.
ఈ కార్యక్రమాలపై మీ అభిప్రాయాల్ని, సూచనల్ని, సలహాల్ని ఆహ్వానిస్తున్నాం. మా చిరునామా ద డైరెక్టర్, ఆడియో విజువల్ ప్రొడక్షన్ అండ్ రీసెర్చ్ సెంటర్, డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ, ప్రొఫెసర్ జి రామరెడ్డి మార్క్, రోడ్ నంబర్ 46, జూబ్లీ హిల్స్, హైదరాబాద్ 500033.